this will help you do our next assignment. This the one that says trigonometry with vectors. If you're still working on your lab, this will also help you find the hypotenuse of the triangle from your lab, because that's what I'm going to do right now, is draw a triangle and label a side, label the angle, and find the hypotenuse. So this one says a wristwatch is pushed up a 20-degree incline. So I can go ahead and draw a triangle that's approximately 20 degrees. In case you're still measuring your angle from your lab, you can find the angle with a protractor by putting the hole in that middle bottom part of the protractor, right where those sides meet. Line up this horizontal line with your adjacent side of your triangle, and make sure that that's where the zero of the angle measurement starts from. Don't start from 180 over here. It says 180, 170, 160. It's not 160 degrees. It's this one that starts from 0, 10, 20. So that says 20. Good, I did it right. Oh man, I drew exactly a 20-degree triangle. Are you proud of me? I'll label my angle here. Theta is the variable for the angles. That's this Greek letter. 20 degrees. All right, what else does it say? The vertical component of its velocity is 2 meters per second. All right. That's going to be this side, the vertical side, right? So I'll put my 2 meters per second over there. This is opposite the angle, so I'll go ahead and say opposite side, 2 meters per second. I'm going to write that down here. Give me more room. There. Draw a triangle and use trigonometry to figure out the horizontal component. It's this component, which is the adjacent side. It's next to that angle. I'm going to label that with an A for adjacent. And the velocity in the direction of the incline. On this assignment, whenever it says in the direction of the incline, that is the hypotenuse side. That's that sloped side. That's what I'm talking about with the incline. So that's the hypotenuse, and we're supposed to find this side and this side using this side with that and this. So I'm going to find hypotenuse first for the people who are still working on their lab. So we can do that using SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA. This is kind of like a guide to our formulas. I do recommend writing your formula every time, since this is kind of like, our little secret code breaker for our formulas. You just have it written somewhere on your paper. That'll help. I mean, I'll leave it up here too. So to find the hypotenuse, since I have the opposite side, I'm going to use O to find H, which means I'll use SOH over here. So that means I'll use sine. So using this, sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. I'll go ahead and write my formula. And I'll plug in what I know. Theta is 20 degrees. Make sure your calculator's in degrees mode. Opposite side is 2. And hypotenuse is what we're looking for. Now this is a tricky way to do it, because you're solving for something that's in the denominator. You want you don't want to do any math with the thing that's in the denominator. When that's what it's asking you to solve for, you want to get it out of there. It just makes it more difficult if it's down there. So the first thing to do is get that out of there, make it cancel. It says 2 divided by hypotenuse, so to make the hypotenuse cancel, I'll multiply both sides by hypotenuse. There's 1 on top, 1 on bottom, so now I've got this. Hypotenuse times the sine of 20 equals 2. And I can deal with that. That doesn't have anything in the denominator. That's going to be easier than if I did it if I tried to solve leaving it there. So let's see. I want the hypotenuse. I want it to say hypotenuse equals. So I'm going to divide both sides by what's next to hypotenuse. remember, we can't do anything with just that 20. We can't take it out of that sine function. We have to keep these together. So if it says hypotenuse times sine of 20, I'll divide both sides by that whole thing, sine of 20, to make it cancel. So one on top, one on bottom. So now it says hypotenuse equals 2 divided by sine of 20. So that's what I need to do to figure out this answer. If you are using an iPhone to do these calculations, or any other calculator where you have to type, to get the square root of 25, if you have to type 25 square root, instead of saying square root 25 equals, you will need to say 20 sine, and then say 2 divided by that number. You can either use the memory function to recall that number, or you can just type that number back in. Write it down, say 20, and then press sine. Write down the number it gives you, and then say 2 divided by that number. Anyway, what I'm going to get in my calculator, I got 5.8. And my calculator's in degrees mode, so if you don't get 5.8 when you do 2 divided by sine of 20, make sure your calculator's in degrees mode and try again. Find a way to make it work. Good, 5.8, yeah. And what is that? Meters per second. Okay. So if you're still working on the lab, this part is what will help you with the lab. I will use a different color. My purple marker is dying, so I don't want to use it right now. So now I'm going to find the adjacent side. I don't want to write super small. With these, just in case your hypotenuse number you calculated is wrong, I really recommend using the number it gave you instead of the number you calculated. So I'm going to use opposite to find adjacent now. That means I'm using O to find A. So O and A go with tangent, so I'll use tangent. Tangent of theta equals opposite over adjacent. I should give myself a little more room. I'm going to write this a little higher. And then to plug in my things, theta is 20 degrees. I'll make sure my calculator's in degrees. Opposite is 2. And adjacent is what we're looking for. This is another situation where it's in the denominator. So I'll multiply both sides by adjacent. Since it says divided by adjacent, to get it out of there, I'll multiply. So I'm doing adjacent times tangent of 20. Since it says adjacent times tangent of 20 equals 2, I want it to say adjacent equals. So I need to make that tangent of 20 cancel. So it says adjacent times tangent of 20. I'll divide both sides by tangent of 20. And that says 2 divided by tangent of 20. These are gone now. We canceled them, so don't worry about it. It just says 2 divided by tangent of 20. So let me rewrite what we have there now, since everything's all jumbled together. So the adjacent, since these canceled, all that's left over here is adjacent. All that's left over here is 2 over tangent of 20. So if I do that in my calculator, that'll be my other side, and then I'll be done. Let's see, I can write my hypotenuse up here already. And 2 divided by tangent of 20. I got 5.5 or something. And that's meters per second still. All right. One way to check your work here is to make sure that the hypotenuse is the largest side still. So if that's 5.8, adjacent's 5.5, opposite's 2, that works because the hypotenuse is still the largest side. But that's all these want you to do. I think there are either 3 or 4 of these for y'all to do. So, any questions about this? I hope that helps. You can use this to help finish your lab, and then use it to help do your vectors at angles assignment.